Welcome to the Strangeology Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Foran. From cryptozoology, ufology, and the paranormal, to legends, forbidden history, and more. Listen in and explore the world of the weird and unexplained. Join me as I look into strange and fascinating tales and unearth the truths and theories behind some of the world's greatest mysteries. Be sure to head on over to our HQ, Strangeology.com, where you can check out our blog, episodes archive, gift shop, and so much more. Now sit back, relax, and join me as we get weird. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Strangeology Podcast. I hope everyone out there is enjoying the spring weather. We were in New England, but apparently decided to skip spring, summer, and fall, and we've jumped right back into winter for a minute since it's actually snowing as I record this. I've got so many projects outside to do this summer that I'm sort of looking forward to. Some I'm dreading a little bit, like rebuilding 2 fences and taking down a collapsing stone retaining wall, and I don't know what I'm doing with that. Fun stuff. But the summer is shaping up to have some cool things going on for the podcast otherwise. So definitely stay tuned for more updates on that front. Anyway, I just did a big giveaway on Instagram after I hit 5,000 followers over there as a thank you to everyone who supports and follows Strangeology. So just be sure to give me a follow over there if you haven't yet. If you're new to Strangeology, if this is your first episode, I do periodic giveaways, and you never know when I'll be throwing a contest. And I try to make it fun and not too hard to follow along with what the rules are and that kind of thing. So usually there's t-shirts involved. Sometimes it's stickers or enamel pins, that kind of thing. So this last one, there were 5 winners, and it went really well and had a lot of fun. And you can always watch the recap on Instagram. I usually go live for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then we see who the winner or winners were during that drawing. And as far as what else I've been up to, I've been super busy making video content over on TikTok, and I've also been using it for the YouTube channel as well. I don't know why or how, but the Strangeology TikTok now has over 160,000 people following it, and there's massive engagement that's impossible to keep up with from comments and suggestions and everything. So I'm just kind of riding that tide, and we're seeing where we're going with it. And also awesome news, recently passed 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So that's great. Definitely a big milestone there. So thank you everyone out there who has followed me on those platforms and who has decided to come over and check out what I'm doing here on the podcast, where I do longer form content and discussions about the strange and unexplained, Fortean world, cryptids, UFOs, the paranormal, that kind of stuff, interviewing people in the community. Just thank you so much. And as far as other video content, I'm working on scripting out a few new top 5 state cryptid videos, as well as some other video content as well. I have plans once the roads kind of firm up and the weather stabilizes a little bit more to run back out and do some filming for my short little Northfield Pigman of Vermont video that I started working on back in the fall. And then I realized that I needed to reshoot some stuff. So be on the lookout for that in the coming months. As far as other updates, since my last episode, I've listed like 5 or so new home state cryptid designs over on my Etsy shop. They're available on t-shirts, hoodies, tanks, sweatshirts, long sleeves, I think I have the stickers listed, but I'm not sure. I have to double check my list and make sure I have everything on there. But the designs are for Utah, Idaho, Connecticut, Kansas, and North Carolina. And it was funny because when I've been posting updates for my artwork over on TikTok, there's just hundreds, thousands of people just commenting like, whoa, why haven't you done this state yet? And what's going on here and all that. So it's lit a fire under me to kind of finish up the map. And at this point, I only have 6 states that I haven't done designs for: Alaska, Hawaii, North and South Dakota, Rhode Island, and Delaware. And people have been requesting, once I'm done with this map, to have a print available on my shop. So that will be coming probably pretty soon. And I do plan on circling back to a few other states that have multiple cryptids, like California or Kentucky and Texas as well, because there's so many out there. And I do remember people asking back at CryptidCon if I had any Goatman designs, and I don't yet, but I will be designing something for that as well. And I just wanted to say a quick reminder before we get into the episode about the Strangeology Hotline. If you have any weird stories of cryptids, UFO, or ghost encounters that you'd like to share, you can call my hotline at 802-448-0612. Again, that's 802-448-0612. There's a 2 to 3 minute time limit on the voicemail, so if your story takes a little bit longer to share, you can just call back and pick up where you left off after you maxed out the previous voicemail space on the message. I've been compiling a few pretty interesting stories, and it would be awesome to get a few more to make a whole episode about it. When I first started the show, I had a listeners' stories episode where people wrote in and emailed me, and I had a couple really awesome stories, and it'd be cool to do that again and get some different stuff to add to that. So if you have a story, give me a call. And that's about it for updates. I was also, I guess just one more thing. I was thinking about the weird news updates I used to do early on for the show, but some weeks there wasn't much going on, so I kind of just let that go on the back burner. But if anyone wants me to bring that back, let me know. It could be fun to incorporate cryptid news and paranormal news, UFO news again at some point. So yeah, let me know. And all right, on to today's episode. This is a fun one. I recently got to have an awesome conversation with the one and only Max Lim of MaximusPrimeArt. Max is an amazing artist and lover of the cryptid world and pretty much all things weird. So it goes, and he's a real solid dude. And just as a quick heads up, not everybody has the best technology or the best connections when we do these interviews over Zoom chat. So the audio is it's not the best. It's a little rough, but I did the best I could to clean it up from Max's end. So just a quick heads up as well. So without much further ado, let's just jump into the interview. All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. Tonight's guest is Max Lim. Max and I connected on Instagram quite a while ago. I think it was like sometime in late 2020, early 2021. I can't remember exactly. But we wound up being able to meet in person at CryptidCon in Kentucky last year, which was a blast. So, it was awesome to meet in person along with so many other people. And so I'll just do like a brief intro here, about who Max is and what's up. So Max is based in St. Louis, Missouri, where he works as a transaction attorney who specializes in healthcare and real estate law. But beyond practicing law, he's also a father, a husband, a small business owner and the artist behind MaximusPrimeArt. And Max has a passion for lore as well as art, and he designs and sells some amazing cryptid-themed merch. And it all kind of started when he and his wife found out they were expecting their first child during the start of COVID. And he set his sights on creating this kind of kid-friendly Bigfoot-themed nursery for his kid. And, remembering a love for cryptids he had as himself as a kid. So kind of, passing the torch down there. And, this seemed to inspire a return to Max's love for art and the weird world of cryptozoology, with a lot of fun and interesting projects that we'll be talking about shortly. And in addition to that, he's working towards creating the Disney of the weird, along with a cryptid-themed amusement park. So thanks for coming on to the show tonight, Max. So glad to have you on finally. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be on here tonight.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you've got this prolific set of projects you're working on. But before we talk about those, can you tell my audience how you got into art? Is it something that's always been with you, or did it develop later in life?
Yeah, so it definitely started when I was younger. I loved to sketch and doodle since I was a kid, and throughout high school, I did art shows, I did sculpting. I tried every medium out there, but at a certain point, I grew up in a traditional Asian American household, and we were given two choices. It was law or medicine, so I chose law, and it went really well. It did great. It got me to where I am now, but once COVID hit, I needed some kind of passion. I needed to refill stuff. So while I was sketching throughout my life, I was like, you know what, let's get back into COVID or cryptid arts and stuff and draw some Bigfoots, draw some cute things. And so that's where it flourished. And then it went crazy from there.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. You kind of just popped onto the scene one day on Instagram and I was like, oh, this guy's art is incredible. I love it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. I love discovering, people, kindred spirits who are into the same kind of stuff. And there's so many people that make amazing art, and you're one of them. So do you have any artists or art styles that particularly influence you? Your work, it looks like it belongs in a cartoon, and I mean that in a very positive way.
No, I appreciate that. So it's all cartoon based. And I guess where I really found my style was when my son was born. I was doing the midnight feedings, 1 a.m., 3 a.m., all those feedings. So we would stay up late. I'd try to find something that wouldn't disturb him. So I'd put on Disney. So then we got into the good old new remake of DuckTales, Gravity Falls. And then I grew up with a lot of anime. So all of that kind of really influences my art style.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I'm familiar with the midnight 1 a.m. routine with my own kid. That's funny. Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. Growing up in the 80s and 90s was definitely, a lot of awesome classic. It's weird calling them classic at this point, right? But classic cartoons, you have all the the DuckTales, like you mentioned, and Transformers and G.I. Joe.
This is awesome to see them being remade now. And I'm thinking, oh, how awesome is this? And then just seeing the art style transform from the 80s to now, it's just amazing. I like where we're going. So I just capture little bits and pieces from there and try to blend it all together.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, what's it been like, since you've picked up the pencil again, and you're a pretty busy guy. What's it been like balancing the whole Maximus Prime art with work and life?
It's chaotic, to be honest. Right now I focus on being a father. That's my number one priority. So we'll set aside time. It's full parenting up till about 7, 8 o'clock, where my son goes to sleep. And then from 8 o'clock till about midnight, 1 a.m. is the full-time rush for Maximus Prime Art. I'll get time and I set up my schedule. So it's kind of structured where I'll do my designing and my drawings, and then making a new cryptid state, and then setting aside certain days to do packaging and everything. So I really try to do as much structure as possible, or else I kind of lose my mind through all of it.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. It's like for me personally, doing this whole thing, and I also have like my merch shop as well, which my listeners know all about. But it's like, you got a few hours during like the regular day, and then there's other stuff to do. And then it's like from 9:30, 10 o'clock at night till 2 a.m, sometimes 3. It's like focusing on this stuff.
Oh yeah,
So,
I actually just enlisted my wife to help package merchandise because we had another video that went really well. We got a lot of sales, so she's getting in there, packaging stickers, getting all that. So I love it that she's helping out so much.
oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, nice to have some help on deck for that.
Oh,
I might have to do that myself at some point. Yeah. So you mentioned your states project. Let's talk about your different projects. I know we have a similar thing going on with like the mapping the cryptid states in wildly different styles. You have these full color, cartoon like illustrations that you like pour your heart and soul into. And I've got just like a silhouette. I
But they're awesome silhouettes.
Oh, thanks. So, you have that, but you have other projects as well. Could you talk about those? You have a book, and a few other like really interesting pieces that you've been working on lately.
Yeah, for sure. So it all started with a kid's book. It started off with Squatchy's Adventures from A to Z because we had a son coming, and I thought, how cool would that be to make a kid's book? So I set out, I drew and illustrated everything on a computer with a mouse and clicker. So that was painstaking. But then we got through that, self-published that one. That's been a great hit for cryptid parents. That I wanted to create art that was for more parents. I'm a parent, and we're going to get more cryptid kids out there. So why not introduce them as early as possible? Make the monsters less scary. So we did ABC books, and then we got into a whole bunch of wall decor to decorate the baby nursery, because who doesn't love a Squatchy on their walls? That's actually how our son's nursery is all set up. There's like different Bigfoots all over the place, blankets, curtains, everything, you name it. And then we got into stickers, we got into like the cute stuff, and now we're working on the Cryptid States project, where we're going by each state, finding out the top cryptid, the popular cryptid, even some of the unknown ones, and making their own hometown cryptid, their own legend, featuring what their home cryptid is. So everyone knows a little bit of their lore from where they're from. And I've noticed a lot of people travel. They go from state to state, so they love collecting the different cryptids that they had from wherever they live. So that's been fun. And then we've tried an NFT series. That was kind of fun for a little bit. I need to revisit that one to get back into that. And then I think our next big one is going to be a cryptic comic series. We're going to go and start off with a couple main characters that are going to stumble into the cryptid world and try to save it. So we'll see where that leads us.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds like that'll be really fun.
I'm excited.
Yeah, holy moly, dude. That's that's a lot of ambition. Much respect to you and all that you do. As far as self-publishing go, just circling back to that, how did you guys go about self-publishing? Did you use a service like Amazon and like put stuff up on Kindle, or did you just find a vendor that could print books that you sourced and had them made, or how did that process go?
I talked with Danner from Conjuring Dust, and he helped me point me to Amazon, and I went through their process, and Amazon got me set up, and we just printed from there. So you just order X amount of books, you get it all formatted to however they like, and they'll ship you the book. So you can sell whatever you like from your store, sell them off of Amazon. So it's just all over the place, which is really cool.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah. I've recently been looking into doing some book stuff myself, but with everything else going on, it's hard to kind of keep track of everything. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And you mentioned NFTs. So, and that kind of just for my audience, if you don't know what NFTs are, can you explain what those are briefly in like 2 sentences? Maybe 5?
Let's let's try to do it. It's a digital collection of, you can do anything basically. It's mostly been used for artwork, and it's your own personal one, so it can be authenticated by multiple people to know that you actually own it rather than someone just screenshotting something like that.
Right. Yeah. So basically it's like the NFT, it's like collecting fine art, and it's it's the receipt that you get that says this is yours. You know, anyone can screenshot a JPEG or save something onto the computer, but yeah, it means you're the owner, and there's a certain value attached to it. And yeah, there was definitely a lot of hype building up last year, and I got into an NFT project myself, my 8-bit little cryptids that I was doing, like Nintendo style things, and like I've walked away from it for a little bit. I wound up, you know, people were putting in offers on a few of them, which was really cool, but I just haven't had time to to circle back and make more. But yeah, and also quick disclaimer, if anyone's listening, we're not giving any kind of financial advice or anything like that. It's just you know, gotta cover our butts here. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, but it's something I definitely want to get back into. And when I saw you were doing yours, you had like this massive like thing going on with like ones that were gonna drop that seemed to be kind of like you didn't know exactly what it was, and it was gonna, like, there's people that put like eggs up and they hatch after a certain amount of time, which, yeah, there's so much you can do. It's weird.
It's cool. It's super tacky, and if you don't know how to like program everything in, it's a lot to learn. So that was just one of the learning points I didn't get to.
Yeah, I know. I was watching like a TikTok a while ago, and there was this guy that was like, oh, you need to make sure you have like some kind of like code written. And I was like, oh, I didn't do that. Well, I'm going to have to come back to that later. Yeah, that's wild stuff. All right. So I noticed that you use Kickstarter to fund a lot of your projects. How's your experience been using Kickstarter? Because you keep a lot of stock of all of your stickers and your shirts and stuff at your office.
Mm-hmm. So Kickstarter, it was a really good process. I think they keep it really organized. You can bring in people on there. If you have a popular Kickstarter, they actually push out your project to other people, so that we got a lot of sales. We did like little cute embroidered t-shirts and hoodies and stuff to sell through that. So we did a lot of pre-orders through them, and they took a lot of, they just got it out everywhere, which was awesome. And so that way I was able to build up my mailing list, connected with people who really liked the project, and then collected the funds and set the expectation. That was probably the hardest part, but we ran a little bit over on some of it, but it went really well overall. I loved it, and I'm excited to try up Kickstarter again for an enamel pin series. So that's going to be the next one.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, and I love your embroidered like mini cryptids designs. I still have, of course, the Mothman one I got back at CryptidCon. I was wearing it earlier today, and I got to tell you, that's like the warmest hoodie I own. And like I got too hot, so I had to take it off.
I'm glad you loved it. Yeah, we wanted something subtle so you could just wear it every day. You can go out, no one would really notice unless you look really close at it. And you're like, oh, that's really cool. That's a little Mothman. Yeah, for sure. So clearly your stuff is heavy on cryptids, which is awesome, and it's wild how much love there is for cryptids out there. Like when I started Strangeology, you know, I started it to just kind of talk about cryptids, UFOs, whatever, but I didn't realize there was this whole culture surrounding it, and it's kind of funny. Was there a particular moment in your life that you remember first learning about or getting into cryptids? Not a particular moment, but I remember when I was younger, I must have seen something about Bigfoot. And so I really loved, I can't even remember what we had back in the late 80s, early 90s, but we had Bigfoot stuff. And then I remember distinctive, actually, my sister going and studying abroad, and she brought home something from Loch Ness. So I got to learn about the whole lore behind Nessie and everything. So I thought that was super fascinating. And then from that point, I just dove headfirst into all of the cryptid little rabbit hole.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. I feel like my first cryptid exposure, I mean, it had to have been Bigfoot on like some TV show on like Sci-Fi or Discovery Channel, but I do remember like watching America's Funniest People, which was like the alternate show to America's Funniest Home Videos with Bob Saget, R.I.P. And so like Dave Coulier had the jackalope character on, which is one of the more famous cryptids. And yeah, like Loch Ness Nessie, that was like a big one for me too growing up. I did like a book report on Nessie when I was in like the 6th grade, and like presented this whole theory that like, the Loch Ness monster could be a like surviving plesiosaur species that survived millions of years somehow. So yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
we had in college we had a speech class, and we had to do presentations, and it was all a persuasive speech, and so mine was all about are cryptids real and how they are real.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. I got an A in that class, so it worked out.
Nice. That's awesome. So what would you say is the favorite design that you've done so far? That's a big question. You've done
That's
a lot.
A tough one. I would say, I want to say my favorite design is either West Virginia for Mothman, but I think it would probably be the Wisconsin Hodag State one I just did a couple months ago. We did that as actually a TikTok live. So we had a few people from Wisconsin that were coming in. They were dropping out what the scenery looked like, what Rylander looked like, and they were just describing it and talking about all their interactions. So that was a blast to do and connecting with everybody. And we had someone that was a forester, I think. He actually worked out there and collected samples and stuff, so he could tell me exactly like trees, colors, and everything. I was like, and it just made it look so much better, I feel like.
Oh, that's like really, really cool, Max. I didn't realize that's like the process you went through to create your Hodag design. It's definitely like one of my top, I don't know, probably top 3 or 5 of your designs. And definitely the West Virginia one's awesome too. With Mothman and the Flatwoods Monster kind of doing a Kamehameha at each other.
My little Pokemon anime tribute.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great. So being a native of Missouri, what would you say your favorite Missouri cryptid is?
Ooh, I've actually just started getting into a lot of the Missouri ones because I thought we didn't really have anything besides the Momo. But there's one, the Tiscoma Penguin. It's a strange legend, and it happened one time. But some farmer was out in the field, and then just a strange UFO came down, and small penguin-shaped aliens came out of the spaceship and stuff. And I can't remember if they collected samples or something from the area, but he just recalled seeing like 3 or 4 penguin-shaped creatures coming out and coming onto his farm. So that's probably one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, that's a really bizarre case. I remember hearing about that and doing like a little blog about that a while ago, and I was just like, this is such a goofy case. Like like penguin space aliens. Yeah.
Oh yeah, what's he doing on this farm by himself?
Yeah, and I think the UFO was like shaped like a mushroom too, or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's like yeah, totally weird. Yeah, there's definitely, it's funny, man. Like, so I've been doing this whole series of like short, like 1-minute videos about cryptids over on TikTok, and so many people look at the videos and they're like, oh, do this state, do that state, do this state. Oh, I bet my state doesn't have anything. And like, so many people don't realize that literally every state in the United States and pretty much every country in the world has at least like 5 cryptids.
Oh yeah.
Just local legends, urban legends, stuff like that. And obviously we have like our higher concentrated areas like West Virginia or Kentucky. Like that whole Appalachian area has so many. It's funny. Do you have like a favorite cryptid in general though, beyond the space penguins.
Yeah, I would definitely say, besides like all the top ones, for like a lesser known favorite, it's the Fresno Nightcrawlers. I just love the video footage behind the sightings that they've had around the little Nightcrawlers. They're just so cool. I don't know what it is. I don't know. They're just like spooky walking pants, and they just kind of drift, and then they just walk so weird. So I love it.
Yeah, that's such a funny story. And I remember when I first saw like the videos of that. It might have been on Fact or Faked, or it might have been on something else. But in Fact or Fake, they tried to debunk it, and apparently they couldn't really figure it out. But the footage of the one that actually happened in Fresno was so degraded because like the story was that the guy whose house he brought it to like took his security camera tape to like this TV station, I think, to talk to a reporter, right? And then the reporter, I guess they couldn't, I don't know if they couldn't or if it's just like a weird thing in the story that like he took a video camera and recorded the screen that the original tape was playing on, so that's why it looks so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a little bit sus, but they couldn't replicate it. Although some other people have recently tried to do some like fancy green screen work, but like, yeah, you can achieve it with that, but like that technology wasn't really easily accessible to the public back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah,
then there's
the 90s, like there wasn't a lot back then.
No, yeah. And then the Yosemite footage is interesting, but most people seem to think that's just CGI from like 2010, 2011 or something. Like I can see that, but there's not a lot of information out there about them, but there are some like other like sightings. If you look around on the internet, there are people who have reported seeing Nightcrawler like entities like out in the wilderness, like in British Columbia in Canada. Ooh. Or there's like the Carmel area creature in Ohio that was seen that looked kind of similar, or at least like one of those like freaky creatures from Silent Hill that are just legs in a body. Yeah. So I don't know, but yeah, they're definitely fun, and they're super fun to draw because it's just like cute.
Just a giant head and then just two little legs going everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. So what would you say is do you have like a favorite cryptid themed movie or like a TV series that you gravitate towards?
Yeah, so I mean, definitely when I grew up, it was like Lost Tapes and Finding Bigfoot. Those are like two like monumental parts of like my whole growing up into cryptids. But definitely Expedition Bigfoot right now. I feel like just the way they've presented it, it just looks awesome. They're bringing such amazing technology, and even just it seems so realistic. Like Ronnie running after Bigfoot into the woods, and like this is his one moment to actually see it, and no matter how dangerous it is, he's just going straight for it. I'm like, that's a man of passion. I would totally do something like that for like that glimpse to actually see it real.
Yeah. Was that in the first season? I've only seen the first season. I know they're like on season 3 now. I
would say it was like early in season 1, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember it being pretty interesting. I was recently binge watching all the old seasons of Finding Bigfoot and stuff. And I remember at CryptidCon, like I stopped by the table, I saw like Moneymaker, and then I passed by him, and then Cliff was hanging out just by himself, and I like went up to say hi to him, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been watching the show, and he was like, yeah, I never actually watched the show, I don't go back and watch those episodes. I'm like, right on, dude, right on, it makes sense. I mean, I don't go back and watch my podcasts unless I'm editing them. Yeah. So here's a question. What do you think Mothman is?
Ooh, that's a good question. Mothman, I feel like it's almost just like a cryptid out there. It's just a winged cryptid, which is weird because it blends in with a lot of native folklore. And I think it's there to bring messages of maybe it knows like what's going on. I know they brought in the whole Harbinger of Doom stuff, but I think that there's more to cryptids out there. Like they can sense something else coming out there. Like if it's whether they're from another dimension or whatever theories that you have. But I think it has a greater sense of what's going on in the world. And it's some kind of flying creature out there. I don't know if it's more moth-like or more owl-like. I like the owl style. That's one of my favorites personally.
Yeah, same. Yeah, there's a lot of lore and legends about flying cryptids who are kind of like these harbingers of doom. And I remember, gosh, it was probably like 2020. I can't remember the exact name of it, but somebody in one of the Discord groups that I'm in posted some kind of like little snippet that was from like a book, and it was this legend of a what I can't remember the name of it right now. It's escaping me. It was like some kind of like man bat dragon type thing, and it came from China, I believe. And it was like this old legend. And like there's also like the legend of the Garuda from India. So it's like this whole thing that's like worldwide. It's really interesting. And I gotta wonder if there's some kind of like connection between all of it. It's like some kind of presence that's been there for eons.
It freaks me out when you like line up all the different cryptids or folklore across all the different cultures. There's a lot of synchronicities amongst all the different ones, which that's what really scares me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, moving away from scary stuff. Let's talk about this cryptid inspired theme park that you have dreams of creating someday. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Definitely. It's one of my, I guess, bigger pipe dreams. I figured my first dream was to make the kids book, and we made that a reality. So I wanted something much bigger and doing a whole almost Disneyland-like theme park with cryptids and everything. And so we've been just kind of plotting out just really rough sketches on different things, but I thought it'd be fun to have like Bigfoot rides with roller coasters going through trees, and then you could spot Bigfoot's running through it next to it and all those different things, and have live almost like cryptids dressed up, like running throughout the park, and people could chase after them and find them and then finally take a picture with Bigfoot or something like that.
Oh,
so
that'd be
a fun little park for families, because there's so many people into cryptids. I had no idea. Like growing up, I thought I was just almost like the weird kid that loved like reading about Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and all that. But there's just like a whole community out there. So yeah, definitely something bigger I want to do.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, it's funny, like thinking back to CryptidCon, there were so many families that came there that had younger children, teenagers, all that stuff, which is, I mean, that would be an amazing thing to accomplish for sure. Are you familiar with Gatorland in Florida?
Yes, I've seen little parts of it, but yeah.
Yeah, so like back in like 2020, I think when they like reopened, when things kind of like evened out for a little bit, they brought in a character there called the social distancing skunk ape. So he would like go around the park and make sure people weren't like clustering together.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I think, do you know Yami from Cryptid Chat with Yami?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's a Florida native, and I think she went there one day with her family, and I think they got some pictures of the social distancing skunk ape. That's how I found out about it, and it's a pretty hilarious thing for sure. I would love to visit. That. I would love to visit your park someday, Max. That would be awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Do you think it would be in St. Louis, or would you try to find like a different location for it?
I want to do, honestly, I would love to do West Virginia, just because it's the whole like epicenter of weird things out there for creepy creatures. But I do have a good fondness of St. Louis. We have Six Flags, and I think we could bring out more cryptid stuff out here. Plus, we're right in the middle of the U.S., so everyone could fly here.
Yeah, that's a good point. And St. Louis is kind of like the gateway to the West too, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I thought it'd be cool to do that, and we'd put like Airbnb, like a cryptid theme resort on there, where you could stay in like a Bigfoot nest style little cottage, a little Mothman perch, a Baba Yaga hut, something like that. Just all these different like curated things.
That's hilarious. Oh man. If you were gonna do it in West Virginia, though, where in West Virginia do you think you'd want to try and make something like that?
See, I'm not honestly, I'm not too familiar. I know Cryptid Bash 2 is coming up, so maybe over there we could do something, set it up there.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
honestly, not too familiar.
Right on. Yeah, Morgantown's a good sized town. It's I think it's mostly like a college town, but yeah, a lot of West Virginia is pretty rural, like Sutton, and Flatwoods, and those places are pretty rural. You'd have to probably stick to there, or like the capital area. Point Pleasant is a very small town with like one street going through it. I mean, that would obviously be like the ideal thing, but it seems like
Build it up even bigger.
Yeah. I have heard, and that sometimes, I don't know, I have heard through the grapevine that Mothman Fest hasn't happened for a couple of years, and I think some of the locals may have been like okay with that because the town is very small and it like quintuples in population when Mothman Fest happens. So I'm sure there's locals that are like, oh man, I can't drive my car anywhere, which I get. The town I grew up in has like an annual harvest festival every year, and I grew up like right around the corner from it, and like the weekend that it happened, like you couldn't get anywhere in town, and it was a small town with like 3,000 people that like turned into like 20,000 people over the course of a Saturday and Sunday. So I get it. Yeah. Oh man. So let's talk about TikTok for a second. You recently saw some pretty rapid growth. How's that been for your business?
It's been amazing for the business. I feel like we had just a handful of sales before TikTok, and then we got onto it and started making videos. It didn't go as well as I thought at the beginning. And after we just stuck with the algorithms, trying to deep dive into what TikTok really was, we had a few go viral. So that just skyrocketed us up to like 30,000. And now we see anywhere from like 20 to 40 sales a week now. So it's been really good for the business. Awesome. I love it.
Heck yeah, dude. That's so awesome. Yeah. TikTok's a strange animal, like
it definitely is.
I joined it and I like hit like, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 followers, and I stopped like putting energy into it. And then I decided to come back earlier this year and like shot up to like 15. And then over the past like month or so, I had one video go viral there that has like millions of views on it now, which is crazy. And now I'm like pushing 100,000 followers. It's stupid, but amazing. Awesome, and I love, yeah, I know. And for anyone listening, thank you for checking out the show and finding me on TikTok and coming over here. I love you all. But it's wild compared to like starting out on Instagram where, like things are awesome there. And I always love to support the people. That's like, that's where we get our starts. You got to pay respect and tribute to your beginnings. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's weird because like I feel like Instagram, they started pushing towards Reels, which does really well if you can make Reels on there. Their software is not as good, but I feel like the just growth started just trickling off there, and TikTok just, you can reach your message and find your real community out there. So
yeah, it's very very organic. So yeah, if there's any creators out there listening, don't be afraid to utilize that as a tool for reaching your audience. Yeah, for sure. So you have this cool giveaway going on right now. Can you talk about that for a minute with your treasure hunt that you have going on?
So I was up late one night watching National Treasure and watching my Nicolas Cage marathon because I love almost every movie he did. But yeah, it made me think. I remember reading stories about like Forrest Finn and then Byron Priest on The Secret, and artists throughout time have hid secret meanings and messages throughout their artworks. I thought, how cool would that be to do our own? Obviously, I would love to do $1 million giveaway, but I don't have $1 million to give away. So I just started with $500 based on what we've racked up from the shop and profits, and I'm putting that up in Treasure Hunt. So in my Bigfoot piece, I hid a secret code word in there for everyone to kind of find. It's hidden really well in there since it's been on for about a week or two, and no one's submitted the right answer, but it's in there. And so if you study the picture and then start decoding some clues, you'll find the code word, and you submit it on my website and you win $500. And hopefully if we sell more, it was going to roll into a whole treasure hunt series where people would get a cool cryptid art piece for their wall, and then also a chance to win some money.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Everyone out there, go buy this print from Max and try and figure out find the clues and solve the puzzle.
Definitely. I want to see a winner out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I've actually been planning on picking one up. I've just been so busy. I keep forgetting.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Nicolas Cage. I haven't watched the National Treasure movies in a while, and those are super fun movies. But I remember there's like a recent trailer where he's in this new movie, like playing himself. And I think it's Nick Cage playing Nick Cage, the actor, and he's like has to like go help some multi-millionaire or billionaire that's played by Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian at this point. I'm just like, oh geez. It's such like, have you ever watched the Nick Cage freak out compilation video? You can find it on YouTube. So he's like, well known for all of his like on screen, like big freakouts, like screaming through the streets that he's a vampire, and the bees from the Wicker Man remake. Yeah, it's pretty good. I highly recommend watching it if you're looking for a laugh.
I know what I'm doing tonight.
Yeah. I'll send you a link. So, all right. I'm sure there's someone out here that'll appreciate this question. What's your favorite anime? Because I know you're an anime guy.
Favorite anime? That's so tough. Like right now, I got really into My Hero Academia. That's been awesome to watch. Even Attack on Titan. But all-time favorite, I would say, is probably Yu Yu Hakusho, back into the old 90s style. I just tuned that back on a couple of days ago while I'm drawing. So I'll just play Yu Yu back there and watch him save the world.
Nice. I've never actually watched that show. Is it? Oh, man.
Yeah. Was
it on Adult Swim back in the day? Or
probably,
like
yeah.
Toonami or something? I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, like before it was even on Cartoon Network, like the original Ocean dub back in like, I would get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to go turn on the local like Canadian like TV station that was playing it. And it was like super staticky and fuzzy. And then and then like Funimation took over and actually dubbed the rest of the series, which is cool.
God bless them. I love it when they came in. Anime just like grew like out of control from there.
Yeah. It was really kind of like a big catalyst. Like I remember in like the early 90s, there was like Akira was a thing for a hot minute. And then like, oh gosh, what was it? Like Vampire Hunter something? I can't remember.
Hellsing?
I'm not sure if it was Hellsing. I don't remember exactly, but I remember like, hearing about anime growing up. I was like, oh man, that seems like really intense. Overheated. So yeah, I don't know. It's just like that stuff was like too intense. And then like Dragon Ball came out and I was like, oh, I like this, even though it's like super violent at times. But the new series Dragon Ball Super isn't so much, but it's still fun.
Oh yeah, I like that. I tried watching some of the Super. It just doesn't bring back the good old memories of the original DVD and their tournaments.
The animation isn't too hot, but they upped their game in the last like arc, which is cool.
Oh yeah, I love seeing everyone just get more and more powerful throughout all of Dragon Ball.
It's like, when does it end? Yeah, that's pretty funny. All right, so back to cryptids. That was a weird anime tangent. People are probably like, what the hell? What would you say your favorite like cryptozoology book is?
Ooh, cryptozoology book. I think I got I actually rented this from the library because I was doing research for the state project, but it was an encyclopedia of cryptozoology. That thing is like massive. So it was awesome to dive into there. And then it gave like details, descriptions, encounters, and everything in there. So I was able to just like flip through that and just read every cryptid supposedly that's been encountered across the whole world. So that was awesome. It felt like it was just like almost like an encyclopedia of all the cryptid stuff out there.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. There's so many good cryptid books out there. I always turn to Chasing American Monsters by Jason Offutt, and the Lauren Coleman book, like Cryptozoology A to Z, and oh gosh, there's a Linda Godfrey book. I think it's called American Monsters, but I don't have a lot of the like the international stuff. I need to expand my library. You can kind of like see it in the background there. It's surprisingly lacking. I recently moved into a new, like, bigger space in my house to to do everything, because I was like, I don't have a lot of room in this corner of the attic. I need more space.
Same way. I was sitting underneath my basement staircase, and we just expanded into the full basement.
Hey, that's awesome. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I've been planning on getting like some kind of workbench table because I've got like my heat press and everything. And I recently ordered like a bunch of glow prints I've got this shirt design that says like "We Out Here," and it has like the Bigfoot with the UFO and Mothman. Not sure if you're familiar with that one, but it's a glow in the dark print. And the vendor I use for it takes like 2 weeks to make them. And people are always like, "Hey, where's my shirt? Where's my shirt?" And I'm like, okay, I need to figure out something a little bit quicker here. So yeah, finding vendors is tricky sometimes.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah. What would you say is your most nightmare experience with a vendor so far?
Honestly, I'm trying to think. Oh, I guess print. So I use Printful for a few things, and I just moved away from it just because I felt like the product quality was going down a little bit, and we would do some print-on-demand shirts and everything, and things were coming out crooked. The prints weren't coming out properly. They looked like they weren't, like, I guess, very thick of a vinyl transfer, so like it bled through to the shirts. I mean, the customer service was great. Everything got refunded, but it just wasn't good for my customers. So it reflected poorly on the shop. So that was probably the worst kind of experience. It just kind of happened sporadically. But yeah, that's about the worst that we got. We just started investing into our own equipment, actually. And we got a glow forge so we could do some laser prints. And I wanted to do what you're doing, just take it into my own hands, not wait for a turnaround. So now we can do all the prototyping here.
That's awesome. Yeah. Like I wish I had the space to like get a screen printing thing going. I have my eyes on this like direct to film printer, but it's like super duper expensive. Might be like a thing like a couple years down the road, so I can do all my own like heat transfers and stuff like that. But yeah, the glow forge. I wanted to talk to you about that because you've been doing these bookmarks and like rings and stuff. Like, how's that been? That's really cool.
It's been awesome. It took me a while to get used to the glow forge because it does like SVG files and does cutting and stuff, but it works awesome. If you have like Procreate on an iPad, you can sketch out whatever you want to do and then just reload it up to there. So the world's your oyster, basically. We got a bunch of blank wood from them that they ship to you for free. So then you can kind of test it on there. So we're messing around with bookmarks. I'm going to start getting into earrings. I actually just started making leather patches. So I'm going to put those on hats too. But basically anything you can think about. I wanted to actually do a 3D print and layer different things of wood on there so it can create a 3D version of a forest with Bigfoot and Mothman and everybody hiding in there. So just weird stuff, whatever my ADHD brain comes up with, that's where we're going with.
Yeah. Tell me about it, man. You got a lot of great ideas. You should.
I just need more time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If only we had more time during the day. Yeah. So, can you talk about any plans you have going on for the rest of 2022? Are you doing any festivals like vending or traveling to any sites to go see some like cryptid spots? What's on your radar?
Definitely. Right now, the first one on the radar is definitely Cryptid Bash 2 in West Virginia. So when we drive, I think we're going to drive out there, but it's definitely going to go visit Point Pleasant first to go check out the Mothman statue. I'm super excited to vend there. So I heard great things about it, and I know the Loft Boys, they put on a great event for everything last year, and see all my good cryptid friends again. And right now, that's about it. I have been playing with the idea of doing the Van Meter Visitor Festival too in Iowa, so that's relatively close.
Yeah.
And that's really about it on the map. The whole family life kind of keeps me very, very occupied with my time. So but I'm going to try and get in at least 2 or 3 this year.
Yeah. The Van Meter Fest would be cool to do someday, or like the Hodag Festival up in Rhinelander. Definitely. I've been looking at like the Whiteville UFO Fest that's happening in June in Virginia. I think it's in Roanoke, Virginia, if I remember correctly. Although I'm not sure if they're still looking for vendors. But like I'm in Vermont, so it takes me forever to get anywhere. I think when I went to Cryptid Bash last year, I did it in 1 day driving down, and I left. What time did I leave? Probably like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and I think I got to my Airbnb in Morgantown probably around like 10:30. It was like a 12+ hour drive, and I was like, oh, I'm too old to do this now. Oh no. So when Cryptid Con happened, driving from Vermont to Kentucky, like the nonstop travel time from there, like with no bathroom breaks on the road or time to eat, was like 15 hours. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take 2 days to go down. And like, might try to look into like flying if I do that again, and like shipping my stuff. But that scares me a little bit because I don't want my stuff to get like lost in transit.
Definitely.
So
that's what I need to figure out how to do that one.
Yeah. I think you can like do it through like the UPS store or something like that. But yeah, something to look into for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Are there beyond like Point Pleasant, are there other spots out there that you'd love to visit someday that have some cryptid lore and history behind them?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd love to go see Loch Ness and just go visit that. I would love to go hike somewhere in the Pacific Northwest and just try to find Bigfoot. We did a trip to the Smoky Mountains a couple of years ago for our anniversary, and we just started talking to locals and everything, and they would share their Bigfoot experiences. We just asked them, like, what's something strange you've seen out in the forest? Like, we're going out there, should we carry bear mace and stuff? And a few people got really just dove straight into it. And they're like, yeah, there's Bigfoots out there. And so it was just awesome to hear their stories. So I'd love to just go visit around and get different takes on all around, especially up in Washington, Oregon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you ever go to like the Olympic National Forest in Washington, I mean, that place is it's a rainforest, and there's like all these old growth trees like that are covered in like green moss, moss, and it's just like this really enchanting place. I went out there back in like 2016. My partner and I went to the Solduck Hot Springs, which is like this little resort where there's natural hot springs that they like pump into all these like pools and stuff. Pretty cool experience. Smells like sulfur, but yeah, it's just a wild place. Another spot that's really cool is and I don't know if I hype this up too much on the show or not, but like Arizona, like the Mogollon Rim area, like from like Payson up to like Williams and even like the Grand Canyon. Like if you ever find yourself out there, it just feels super squatchy, just like the pine forest and stuff. And they have the legend of like the Mogollon monster out there, right? Which is kind of like this Bigfoot cousin that's maybe a little bit more like human-like than an actual Bigfoot, but yeah, it's a cool place to visit for sure.
Oh, cool. I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, we definitely want to go down to Arizona and check out some of the national parks and stuff. So that'd be great to go visit and check those things out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Arizona is a must see for sure.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, my wife and I we're huge hikers. So anytime we can go out to the forest and just go enjoy ourselves, that's where we're going to go.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. All right. Well, we're almost at the top of the hour here. I've got a couple of questions for you from the audience. If you want to check these out. Okay. So this first one here is from Vince V87. I guess it's vi.ncev87. And he's asking, have you ever had a paranormal experience?
Ooh, so I have had a paranormal experience. I saw a ghost when I was younger, and I didn't realize that it really played into Chinese superstitions and folklore and history like that. So I was probably about 7 or 8, and I'm terrified of the dark as a kid. So I turn on all the lights going from my first floor up to my parents' bathroom. I turn on every light, hallway light, bedroom, and they have an elongated bathroom.
Okay.
Toilet's on the far side, shower's right here. I left the door open on this side, and they have they have like a bay window out there. Traffic. I'm sitting on the toilet getting ready for take a shower and stuff. Yeah. I apologize for that. But I decided to look to my left, and I look down the hallway, and I see a pitch black shadow person basically just walk across the hallway, stop, turn to look at me, and then continue out over into the window and disappear. Freaked out, ran downstairs naked, screaming, crying as a little kid, but I just saw a shadow person. So it freaked me out. But my mom, she was totally fine about it. I don't know, just a parent knowing it, but it turned out she asked me a few questions. She knew what week it was, and Chinese traditions that after, I think it's like 40 days, your loved ones, after they pass, they'll come back and visit family members and stuff. So she asked if the person had a bun, and I said yes, because that's just what I saw. But it turned out I didn't think about it, but my grandma, who had passed earlier, had a bun and roughly the same shape, and all those kind of things kind of started clicking together. And Mom's like, it's okay, it's just grandma visiting you. But that was my paranormal experience. It freaked me out. Won't ever forget it, but it was very cool and kind of reassuring.
Yeah, well, that's a really interesting take on it. Like, yeah, sure, it's like this terrifying experience of something that is like completely unknown. You're like, oh man, I just saw a ghost, like what's going on? But then having like that whole background of understanding in that culture, it's like that's a really cool like frame of reference to have, to be like, okay, that's one of our own that's just saying, hey, what's up, seeing how you're doing. That's really cool.
Yeah, I liked it. Gives you a little bit about afterlife, passing on, all those different things. And, you know, you hear about the stories until it actually happens. And it's just super weird. But, yeah, it was cool. Gave me a lot of closure, opened up a lot of thought processes, and it was good to go.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. Thanks for sharing that, Max. That's
no problem.
That's deep. All right. And then we've got one more here. It's from Cassie's Land. And she doesn't actually have a question. She just wanted to say that, Max, you're awesome.
Cassie Land is just as awesome. And she's just started making her own cryptid art too. So everyone check her out. I love it. Thanks for the support.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you can find her on Instagram. She does these really cool shoes, artwork on shoes. She has this like Fresno Nightcrawler one that says like Dad bought on it, which I want to get sometime. Oh man. Yeah. Cool. Well, I've got one more question for you before we wrap up the regular show here. And it's something that I typically have been asking most guests that I bring on the show. Out of all the high strangeness out in the world, what keeps you up at night the most?
Probably, honestly, aliens. I don't know why, but we watched some video, and it just kind of freaks me out a little bit thinking about them, that there's something else out there. It's not really explained. And then just the technology from a lot of the abductions and encounters and phasing through walls. It's like no matter how secure you can make a house, you're always susceptible of being abducted somehow. So that kind of freaks me out a lot. That's what keeps me up at night. And if I watch the wrong alien documentary, I just don't sleep for a week.
Yeah, dude, I feel that one. Yeah, that was definitely like one of my number one fears as a kid. Like after watching like alien abduction shows, I'm like, oh god, the aliens are gonna get me when I sleep.
Have you heard of the theory of aliens are actually angels?
I've heard the theory that they're demons, but maybe not
Ooh.
necessarily angels.
So
Uh,
I think we were watching just some paranormal. I think it was the fifth encounter or fourth encounter, and someone had mentioned that. I was like, that's a weird correlation of all the different like bright white lights, people phasing in and out of walls, and the abductions and taking them up in a white light. I was like, oh, that's really kind of weird. And then the alien took over a body supposedly, and they were speaking ancient Sumerian. That I have no idea if that's true or not, but I was like, that would be a weird correlation for all of it.
right, right. Yeah, no, I remember that movie. I was actually just talking about that recently. The Encounters of the Fourth Kind, and yeah, that scene was freaky when
Oh yeah.
it's like, okay, so that like sure, fictional movie, but it's also kind of playing at the idea that this phenomena has been here for as long as like humanity has been around, and it's like potentially influenced or manipulated humanity in some way or another.
Yep.
Yeah, that's funny. Oh man. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show tonight. Can you tell my audience where they can find you on the
Yeah,
internet?
definitely. Thanks for having me. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, sometimes Twitter. I'm just starting to post on there, and Facebook. All of it's at MaximusPrimeArt, all one word. And you can find me on those social medias.
Nice. Awesome. Well, yeah, definitely check out Max's artwork and support his business. He does amazing work. And we're going to take a quick break here. And after the break, for my patron members, we're going to step on into Strangeology Beyond and talk about some fun and interesting Fortean topics surrounding Missing 411, I believe. So definitely stick with us after the break. And thanks again, Max. We'll see y'all next time. All right. Thanks again, Max. That was a great chat. And for everyone listening out there, definitely give him a follow on his social media accounts over on Instagram and TikTok, and show him some love and support and pick up some awesome art from him. And don't forget about his giveaway. That's a real big one you probably don't want to miss. And hopefully somebody out there figures out what the clues are. I'll link all of that in the show notes. And as I always do when wrapping up an episode, I've got to give a big thanks to everyone out there who listens to the Strangeology podcast, and to all who follow me wherever you find me online. Thank you for listening and for sharing the show. It helps me out a lot and gets things to boost higher and higher into whatever internet algorithms are out there. We're quickly approaching 20,000 downloads, which is huge. And man, it's been forever since I checked out where people are listening out there. But the show now has listeners in 67 different countries around the world. Talk about wild. I really couldn't imagine when I started this show, this whole thing, having it reach so far and wide. It's really an amazing thing. So thank you again for all of your continued support. If you have a minute, I would love it if you could leave me a review over on Apple Podcasts. It helps me out a lot and gets my show out there to more people to listen to. And if you want to send me a story, you can again call my hotline, or you can shoot me an email at strangeologist@gmail.com. Or if you have suggestions for the show, you can hit up my website, strangeology.com, and head on over to the contact page, or just hit me up on social media as well. My DMs are always open. And for an easy way to support the Strangeology podcast, you can head on over to patreon.com/Strangeology. I offer a wide variety of benefits and perks for members, starting at less than a cup of coffee per month. Some of these benefits include a permanent discount to my Etsy shop, VIP Discord access, early access to content and members-only Strangeology Beyond bonus extensions, exclusive members-only merch, shoutouts, and more. And speaking of shoutouts, these following patrons help keep the lights on here at Strangeology. Shout out to Alex Dorgan, Alyssa, Mystic Novelty Company, Appalachian Huntsman, MetaZoo Games, Greg Morrill from All the Weird, Sean Cologne, Miranda Jarnot, John Hickenbottom, Marine Asmat, Prepared Wolf, Gail Frederick, Adam Flynn, Connor Boyle, Ryan Holiday, Cassie Maratson, and Lucha Zykowski Ford, Angie Fitz, MG, and Adam Jenks. So again, if you want to check that out, head on over to patreon.com/Strangeology. I very much appreciate it. And you can also support the show by picking up some of my cryptid and Fortean UFO themed merch over on my Etsy shop at strangeology.etsy.com. And don't forget to follow me on all of my socials for more content from me. And that's about it for today's show, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Max Lim. And for members, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, Max and I are going to be discussing the strangeness surrounding the missing 411 phenomenon, theories about it, and we even get into some stuff about flying humanoids. So stick with us, and for everyone else, take care of yourselves and each other, and until next time, keep it strange. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around for Strangeology Beyond, the exclusive segment for all of you patrons out there. So, thanks again, Max, for coming on tonight. That was an awesome conversation. I loved hearing about all of your projects.